If someone told you to save 15% of your income, you probably just nod and move on. But what people don't always talk about is the clarification of 15% of what exactly? Gross income or net income? They're not the same number, and which one you're measuring against can really change everything about your plan, your lifestyle, and whether that rule actually works for you or just looks good on paper. So today we're going to go back to the foundation on this one and break down why the benchmark exists, where it might start to fall apart, and how to make it actually fit your life. I'm Jeff McDermott, a financial planner and founder of Create Wealth Financial Planning. And on this channel, I help people build plans that let them live well now and into the future. So let's get into it. Gross income and net income often get used interchangeably, but they're genuinely different numbers. And depending on your tax bracket and the cost of things like benefits, the amounts can be quite different. Gross income is your total earnings before anything comes out. Salary, bonuses, side income, it's that headline number. And if someone asked you how much money you make in a year, it's probably the number you'd wind up giving them. Net income, on the other hand, is what actually lands in your bank account after taxes, Social Security, Medicare, other benefits, and retirement contributions. It's probably more familiar to you as the number you actually get to live on every day. So when someone says save 15% of your income, which income are they pointing at? Plain and simple, the savings benchmarks, the ones like you see from Fidelity or T. Rowe Price or from Vanguard, they're built off of gross income. That's the baseline for all these rules of thumb you hear about. Now, knowing that's half the battle, but you might be wondering why? Why gross income? Well, I wasn't there when they made the rules, but a few things about using gross income make sense. First off is that gross income is a universal way that net income isn't. Two families can both earn $100,000, but their take-home pay could be very different depending on what state they live in, their filing status, other deductions. A single tax filer in California and a married couple in Texas earning the same gross salary most likely you're going to have very different net take-home numbers. So if you tried to base savings advice off of net income, you'd wind up giving different targets to different households. Gross income is the common denominator that keeps the math consistent across the population. Now, a second reason is that it includes pre-tax savings. If you're contributing to something like a traditional 401k or healthcare savings account, that money leaves your paycheck before taxes touch it. You never actually see it in your bank account. So measuring your savings rate against net income would dramatically undercount what you're actually putting away. The gross income benchmark captures that full picture of what you're building towards, not just what you see after the deductions come out. And the third reason is that a lot of the retirement planning math is built around the gross income number. So Fidelity created a set of widely cited savings milestones that suggest you want to have roughly 1 time salary saved by 30, 3 times salary saved by age 40, 6 times salary by age 50, and about 10 times salary by the time you get to age 67 and you're ready to retire. And those targets are all calibrated assuming a 15% of gross income savings rate. Social Security benefits are essentially calculated off your gross earnings too, with the exception of some benefits deductions. So you want these rules to be consistent with each other, and gross income is that common thread. Now things start to get personal here, and we need to dig a little bit deeper. Because the gross income benchmark is a nice starting point for big picture planning. It can help you calibrate your savings rate and see if you're even in the right ballpark. But remember, you don't live on gross income. You live on what hits your bank account, and so the math can start to get complex. Take two people, both earning $100,000, both saving 20% of their gross income, so saving $20,000 a year. But one of them lives in a state with no income tax and takes home about $79,000. The other one lives in a higher tax state and takes home closer to $70,000. After saving the same $20,000, the same 20%, the first person is living on $59,000 a year, the second person on only $50,000 a year. On a spreadsheet, the savings rates look identical, but in real life, it's a $9,000 annual difference on what they could do with their families, how much buffer they have through a tough month, and it could be the difference between a plan that feels sustainable or feels like it's suffocating you. Again, just some hypothetical numbers there. But it gets even deeper when you look at the type of account they're saving into. If you're saving $15,000 into a traditional 401k, the money comes out pre-tax, so you don't fully feel the reduction in your take-home pay. But if you choose $15,000 in a Roth 401k instead, you pay taxes first and then save after that. The same dollar amount in the Roth 401k is going to require a little bit more effort and a little bit smaller net paycheck. Same gross savings rate, different experience. Now, I see some version of this sometimes when families first come to work with me and we work through the plan together. The benchmark might say one thing, but cash flow might say something different is going on. My goal as a financial planner is to find out what your actual savings rate is, what it needs to be, and then help find a balance between what you can actually do. So let's look at 3 ways this high level savings rate information can be helpful. Again, use a gross income benchmark for your savings. Fidelity and T. Rowe Price anchor their retirement guidance to 15% of gross. So that's a reasonable starting point for someone trying to spread financial security across their working years without putting their entire life on pause right now, at least before they've created a more specific plan. So use that 15% as your directional guide, but not necessarily the daily scoreboard. So second, you want to pressure test that against your actual take home. Once you know your gross savings rate, run through it in your real life. What does that leave for you on a monthly basis? Can you do the things that matter to your family right now? A plan that works on paper but creates constant stress month to month isn't a real plan. It's not going to be sustainable. The best plan is one you can actually stick with over the years and decades, not just the one that looks good on the spreadsheet. Now, third, adjust that rate based on where you actually are. Maybe 15% of gross income is the right long-term target for you, but maybe right now, in this season of your life, it's a little too aggressive. That's okay. You can work towards it. Or maybe you're in a phase where hitting 15% is easy and you want to push past that to build more options later in life and start to build more of a baseline, more ability to pull off the gas a little bit earlier than age 65, maybe. When I was younger, before I had a family and other financial obligations, it was easy to save aggressively. And it started to get harder over time as expenses went up, and your life has to adapt accordingly. So the goal isn't to necessarily follow the rule perfectly every single month. It's not even a rule so much as it is a guideline, but the goal is to build something that works with your income, your expenses, and works with your life and allows you to still live along the way. Financial independence is really about making work optional. It's about spreading experiences more evenly over the course of your life, not deferring everything until someday, and getting your savings rate right, truly right for your situation, is one of the most direct ways to buy back your own time. So here's the takeaway. Gross income is the right measuring stick for long range benchmarks because it's consistent and it captures pre tax savings, but net income is where your real life happens and your plan has to work for both. Use that 15 to 20% gross target as your compass. Make sure it actually fits the life you're building right now, not just the retirement you're planning for later. Now, if you'd like to sit down and figure out what the right savings rate is for your specific situation, your income, your goals, and the life you want to live now in the future, I'd love to talk. Book a free intro call through the link in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.